tonight, we're gonna blow out the east wall of my bedroom, enlarge the bathroom, basically turn the entire upstairs into a secondary master suite. So there's room for the both of us and the both of you.
Not so much. Yes, good afternoon. We begin with Matthew McConaughey in Failure to Launch as we kick off the week with this question: should you charge your kids rent? A popular Facebook post from a mom generated a lot of talk among parents recently. Her daughter gets $7 allowance but ends up giving $5 back for rent and utilities. She gets to spend the remaining $2. Now, of course, that's a younger child. Right. Matthew McConaughey being that adult
45.
child who's still hanging around home. So what do you think, at any age, should you charge the kids rent?
I like the idea, and I mean, really reading between the lines, it's not like they're really charging them rent. I'm going to surmise that they wouldn't be giving their child $7 if they weren't going to take some of it back.
Right, mom's giving her money and
right, and then she's taking $5, so really she's getting a $2 allowance. But I like the lesson of teaching your kids, you know, all of this isn't free. Mom and dad work hard to have this roof over your head.
Yep.
Going to the grocery store is not free, so I like it.
Yeah, you?
I totally agree. It's not, I mean, the story kind of came across misleading when it hit the headlines last week. Mom charges 5-year-old rent. It's like, no, really, mom's giving her money.
And she's taking me out.
Teaching her the value of $1. I see nothing wrong with it. I think it's up to each individual parent. Some people say the girl's too young. I'm like, 5, I don't know. I don't think it's too young to teach at least the value of $1. Things aren't free, like Rod said. So
I saw it come to light last week. My son, who's a sophomore in college, was signing his first lease with a bunch of friends, and he was telling me what his rent was every month. Okay, then I said, well, what about utilities and cable? How are you guys splitting that up? He was like, what? You know?
What?
You know, once you paid the rent. And so then they sat down and came up with a plan for that as well. I know when we were adult children, there were 7 of us, and if we left college and didn't have a job and lived with my parents, we did pay rent. It was reasonable and based on what we were making at that time.
But now you're living with your husband in your own house now.
No,
is that right?
but I'm talking about my parents very early on. They said, if you come back, you know, we're going to support you up until you go to college. They helped us get through college. And then after that, I mean, you know, it was a reasonable amount. So for an adult child, I think it's different. For a young child, as a lesson, I agree as well.
I think part of it comes down to, are you stressing your kids out about bills, like saying, ooh, this is how much rent is? I think it depends on how you maybe approach it to the child. If you're just doing it as an educational means of saying, you know, we don't live here for free, or groceries aren't free, and you just teach them, I guess that's maybe how you approach it too.
And even paying for cable, they're like, what? That's a separate bill?
That costs money? Yes, it does.
You just plug it into the wall, don't you?
We go somewhere, mom and dad, honey, do you have any money? Oh, I don't have that much money. Our daughter has like $40 on her. We're like, what? Where'd that come from?
From you, sir.
Saving up her birthday money. I like that. A thrifty child.
Well, you know that we had, of course, a lot of people talking about this on social media. So we want to share a few responses. First up, Sharon posted, she thinks this is a great idea and it teaches a better lesson than parents who just put aside money for into savings, perhaps without telling the children that they're putting it away into savings. Again, teaching the value of money. And I got to say, a lot of the reactions on Facebook had supported this mom. So
yeah, Esther says it's good training on how important it is to be responsible. You know, so whatever money you have to divide it up in several different ways to make ends meet.
Well, you know, at least this gets people talking, I think, is the important thing about how to approach this with your kids. So the rent discussion being today's Parenting SOS, we wanted to learn some